Okay, we left off 253. Tafresh Nun Daled. You know, people at one time, this is before aluminum foil. How would you keep a lulav moist? You had a jug of water, and you put the lulav in the water. So the question is, are you permitted to do this on Yom Tiv? Okay? But you're like hydrating the, right? So we'll see. Sheyochel hazit, the Gemara speaks. Yochel hazit luv might be Yom Tiv. You permit it, but that's only if initially it was in the water, you put it back. But if it was never in that water, this is all rabbinical. Mekabelas isha halulav miyad bino miyad ba'alo v'maziro salabayim. The woman, she receives the lulav from her son or her husband, and then she puts it back. She returns it to the water. Maziro salabayim. V'tosel of mayim in tzorach. She can even add water to the water. Which what? If some of the water evaporated, you want to add water to it, you can. Avalo tachlef hamoyim. But to empty it and put new water, that you cannot do on Yom Tov. B'chol hamoed, mitzvah lachlifon. On chol hamoed, there's a mitzvah to change the water. Kedei shishor lach v'hodor. By changing the water, it'll keep it moist and it'll retain its beauty. The daled minim, because now, changing the water is fresh water. It invigorates the lulav and whatever's soaking in the water. Hagov v'nogi lika kol yom chol hamoed arov chadosha. L'kasher belulav u'hidu mitzvah. There's a minog that on chol hamoed people would take, the willow, the arov withers very quickly. Right? Hadassim stay moist. Could stay moist for a year. They retain their greenness. The others, they become brittle immediately. They dry up and they turn black, whatever it is. See, Ramos says there's a mitzvah, cholamoid, that every day cholamoid, you should take a new harava. Because the harava is affected by time. Well, the kasher b'lulav and tied to the lulav, because that's hidur also. Right? We rule agav einem akiv. Then there's an argument in the Gemara, do you have to bind the species together or not? So there's an opinion, they have to be bound together. If not, it's not valid. We rule it's hidur mitzvah. So therefore he says you should take a new arava and you should tie it to the lulav. Of course, that's part of the hidur mitzvah. You take the new arava hidur mitzvah. But if you don't attach it to the lulav through the band, it's not hidur mitzvah. You're not doing the hidur right. For hidur mitzvah. Seemingly from the word arava, it seems a single one, but it could be means two. Let's see. Sure. Why not? What's the provision? What's wrong? What's wrong with it? What's wrong with it? It's only hidur mitzvah together. A person every day he has a pair of tefillin. They're sewn together. Every day he wants to cut open the stitches and take out the parshas, put them back in again, and re-sew it. I mean, it's the wrong thing to do because that's called abuse. There you're abusing the tefillin. But in terms of the dalaminim, what are you doing? I mean, you're not doing. Firstly, there it's tashmishi kedusha. Tefillin are inherently holy. I mean, the halacha is you can even take a mitzvah object and throw it away. So what's wrong with disassembling it? You're not doing anything wrong. Tefillin, I mean, it's an object of kedusha. So that's called abuse. If there's no reason to open the tefillin. What are you cutting them open for no reason? So that's a total disrespect. Okay, what? Not have to take it out. There's no reason. Yeah. No, no. We're talking about the arava. It's understood the arava earlier is not as fresh looking. Look, the Rama knew what he was writing, what he was talking about. I'm not sure who authored the Vayeishev. I hear. No, 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 no. Chofetz Chaim's Mishna Berura Aloch and Isher Tzion. These three, it's Chofetz Chaim. Mekabel Sisha. What's the chiddush from Kabel Sisha? Aval Gav Deinu Chayevs Belulav. It's mitzvah says it's man grama. You call Mokum Rashor Letaltlo. It's not a question of muktzah. Say maybe it's muktzah for her. She's not permitted to touch it. The Gamhi Rashor Levorich Olav. She's permitted, right? If she wants it, she's not obligated, but she's permitted to take the dalet medium to fulfill the mitzvah. He says Levorich Olav because it's one minig Ashkenaz. She's permitted to say the bracha. I mean, by Sfardim, he wouldn't say this. Rashor Levorich Olav. Aleph. Mogen Avram. No, Mogen Avram. Because the Mogen Avram, it's minig Ashkenaz. V'sosev olav mayim v'logazun b'shum hashok hazroim. Right? You're not, since it was there, it's not because it has to do with watering. You allow a person to do this, they'll water something that's growing. So this is the rice to water something that's growing. That's a tolda of Zoreah. Right? Watering a plant on Shabbos or Yom Tov is a tolda. It's a derivative of planting, of Zoreah, because it enhances the growth. Avalo tachlif. The Torah chul l'tkunei mono. V'mutal hamidu l'chatchila b'mayim. He says you shouldn't empty it to put new water, because that's too much of a tircha. The only reason why you're doing it's why to retain its moisture, its freshness. So because it's Torah chul l'tkunei mono. What about you have a jug of water, just putting it straight in? These dalimim water, the lulav was never in the water, you just want to put it straight in. The water is in the jug. Are you permitted? If it would be Shabbos, you're not permitted to touch it, right? The dalimim is muktzah, because we don't take the lulav on Shabbos. What about mistakenly he took it out of the water? Your little child pulls it out. Daddy, look what I found. Are you permitted to put it back in the water? You're not, because it's muktzah. No, it's been in the water. It's cut. No. It's not a flower pot, it's called a vase. Flower pot means it has earth in it. No, there's a difference. There's a big difference. One is growing, this is not growing. A flower is not muktzah. A cut flower is not muktzah. A lulav is muktzah. If it was in the water, you want to put it back, it's no different than this. Why is it any different? It's going back. It's there. It's not. No, if it dried out already, and now you want to hydrate it, that it should regain its moist. That would be like tikkun mana. That would be tikkun mana. Votzi oselach zero lamayim lach v'hodor. He says, but cholamoid is a mitzvah to change the water, that it should retain its moisture and its hidur. He says, it's a mitzvah to do this. Today we have other methods to keep it moist. Take a wet towel, put it in aluminum foil. We have other ways to preserve it. Kashem belulav, kospukuri Yaakov dain shikshar osem mibachutzim alulav. Lo koosem shetochven osem beeged. Dukar kora tigra minig zed liyaraba daideze shu machnis umotzi tom lefami noshum rov olim. If every day you pull out the arova and put it back, creates a problem. When you put it in, very often you have to be very gentle, otherwise the leaves detach themselves, right? Sometimes it depends how large those holes are, right? Sometimes you have to squeeze it and then put it in. But if you leave it flat and you just push it in, you're going to cause leaves to be torn off. So pulling it out for sure. When you take it out, it's almost inevitable you're going to take off the leaves. He says, if you want to add, don't pull out the arova. Add from the outside, but don't put in and take out. He says also, let's say you have the band and you just slip it in. Right? You're not tying it. The mitzvah is to tie the min in there. What about it's there and you're slipping it in? You're not tying it into dal minim. Chenyater akesh legarmi yasel liksher davku cholamoid. B'yom tavos lasos kain dos liksher. You're not permitted to make a kesher shel kayoma. Right? It has to be could the permanent knot. According to this, it's a little difficult. So we have these what you want to call the Chinese fingers. So you never tied it. It's considered kesher shel kayoma because it's woven. Because the palm leaves are interwoven. But how are you putting? You're putting it to something that's already. You're not tying them. You're slipping it in. So according to them, this is at what we do as a b'diavad, correct? He's quoting over here, or he's saying himself that what you should do is you should tie them together. So it could be that there's a question we had earlier. You put 3 rings on the lulav. Then he says you could also put it around the dalid minim. But according to what he's saying, you should put it around the dalid minim. Because by slipping it in, you're not tying them. It's already, the knot is there. But you didn't hear what he said. The mitzvah is to tie. No, you're not tying. No, you're slipping it into something that's tied. Well, that's what he's saying. There's something, but it's the same problem. It's wider, but they just stick it in. It's not tied. So if you would have something, you put it in, then you pull it, and maybe tie it to tighten it. Maybe that would be okay, but that's not what it is. You just stick it in. What they have is wider, so they have less of the issue of when you put it in, take it out, you're going to tear off the leaves. Well, early he says when you tie it, it should be a kesher shel kayoma. That's the mitzvah hidur. The hidur is to tie it.
Just by putting it in,
That's what he says.
we're binding them together.
Lo mikri, he says v'gamba lo mikri agar kilchosav zein kesher mamish kev shem ein hu machlis hu motzi. You're just putting in and taking out. No, but again, it's no different. Let's say you don't have Chinese fingers. You tie it, then you pull out the arava. You pull it out, and then you slip it in. He says when you slip it in, you're not tying it together. You have a knot, and you're just slipping it in between what's tied, the knot, the band, and the lulav. That's what he says. You should undo it and redo it again. Some say, so with us, you never do that. Right? Even though this is called kesher shel kayoma, the Chinese fingers, because they're woven, the leaves, but you're just sticking it in. So I'm saying, so by adding the band, on top of that, that's called binding. So he said earlier, but if you do it that way, that's sufficient. That's the equivalent of kesher shel kayoma.
But then you're not taking it out throughout the yom tov, like you're saying.
No, but some people, they slip off the whole thing. They don't take it out. But that's also, it's still a problem. It's still a problem. Because even if you slip, they pull off the whole thing, they put it in the refrigerator. And afterwards, of course, the lulav doesn't dry out, right, even in 7 days. And then they take the lulav and they just put it back. But it's a problem. Because the mitzvah of kesher is all the 3 minim together, the 3 species. So the hadassim and the aravas are tied together initially, right? But when you're slipping the lulav back in, what are you doing? Yeah, but you're slipping it in, you're not tying the lulav in. What difference is you putting the arava, you're slipping the arava, and you're slipping the lulav. It's the same thing. You're not tying it. So then you put the band, but people don't do it that way. They don't always redo a band on the outside. Right? So maybe you should. That's the way to do it. We discussed this. Put a rubber band on the outside. What? Okay, good. I understand that. That's what we said. That's what you will accomplish. To be continued.
With regards to keeping it moist, like in the past I found to take it out, it leaves a shoe. To put it in the oil and a wet paper towel, I find it's very, like, cause a lot of issues because I actually found mold growing in mine afterwards. Like, I don't like.
If you squeeze it out,
right.
that it's just moist. I mean, like damp. It won't grow.
I opened mine up right before Yom Tov, and they actually stay fresh. I changed the rovers once. Do I need to do anything if they look fresh? Like
No, nothing.
No, but I'm saying if you switch a rovers once.
I never change our rovers. Always stay fresh. Oh, Yom Tov. Take a paper towel, squeeze it out, wrap it around, put aluminum foil, heavy-duty aluminum foil.
But you have to squeeze it out.
Yeah.